Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GPU podcast, or Gamers Process Universe, as it is in full. My name is Jonathan Cole, and
My name's Shane Smither, his co-host.
we had an intro originally for this that was really good, and I accidentally deleted it / the server crashed. So this
Sometimes that be how it is, unfortunately. Tech goblins run rampant in the world of entertainment.
And you would know, Shane, because you are IT. So
Yeah, I almost said unfortunately, but anyway.
As you just finished getting your degree in it.
Yep.
Oh, the cruel irony of this world. All right. So today, what we'll be covering? We'll be covering graphics cards. This is the 28th of October for 2020, and we just had AMD. They announced their full graphics cards lineup, and Nvidia's launching their 3070 tomorrow. And so right now is a really tumultuous time with graphics cards and what's good, what people should be getting, and it's actually a pretty crazy generational jump for both companies now. So it's a interesting tidbit of tech that's going on in the world.
I look forward to hearing about all of your opinions because I am not super informed about that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then the flip side is we'll be talking about Kingdom Hearts and how they now have Game 3.
Which is actually Game 7, even though 3 is on the box of the new one.
So it's I don't know much in the world of Kingdom Hearts, so I'll be learning along with you listeners, and I hope that you have a great time listening to us chat about these fun topics. So
it's pretty complicated, but I'll do my best.
Between those two topics, I think we'll have enough content for a full hour, so that's what we're just sticking with for today. If there's more time, we can always improvise. I don't know. We're gonna go with it.
I'm sure we can do that.
All right. So, introducing our guests, we have Jordan on again.
Hi.
We have Ben.
Yee.
And then we have Corellia.
What up?
Today's topics, I'm probably the most knowledgeable about the first one, but I'm looking for lots of input / people's reactions to it.
I'll be asking many questions.
I'm sure, and I will try to answer as many as I can. May I also suggest possibly Googling some of this if you get confused at any point, because I might not be able to answer everything.
Yeah.
So, to just begin with, one quick question for all of you. What's your favorite scary movie this month? It is Spook month.
You mean like that came out this month, or just
in general?
Favorite scary
Spook
movie.
month.
Okay, for me that would be The Thing, like I mentioned last week, I believe.
The Thing, okay.
Okay, The Thing is a really good answer, but I think one of my favorites has to be Get Out.
Get Out.
Also a good one.
Okay.
Very good. God, kind of putting us on the spot there, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Carly, you can go if you have an answer.
The authentic reaction.
No questions here really.
No, I've said what's your favorite scary movie?
I've always been a fan of the Friday the 13th series.
All right.
Classic.
Jordan, you got an answer?
I do have one I like. I would not recommend watching it because it's more disgusting than it is horrifying, but still pretty horrifying. Frankenstein's Army. It got taken off of Netflix. Let's just say that.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I have heard things about that. Not seen it myself, but I've heard things.
If you ever just want to know why I say don't watch it, just Google Frankenstein's Army monsters and just look at the pictures of some of the things that are in there. That'll give you a good reason as to why you probably don't want to see what those things do.
In one of my streams, I created a horrifying monster. How does this stack up? Just a giant pile of eyes that takes other people's eyes and then builds upon itself. Is that kind of in the area?
Not even close.
Oh,
well,
geez.
we're gonna continue past that.
Yeah.
I'll answer real quick. I'm not really a scary movie person, but I haven't seen all of it. I've seen like the first 2 minutes, and I plan to watch more. I want to watch it. I just haven't gotten around to it. A Quiet Place. I want to watch that movie.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, everyone
I
says
have
it's a
heard
great
it's
one. I
good.
haven't gone around to it. That's the only reason why I haven't watched it yet. Also,
haven't either.
I live by myself, and the only time I thought about watching it was already dark at night, and I don't really want to have nightmares while I'm a grown adult at 23 years old.
You'll be fine.
You gotta flex
Anyways,
on those fears.
Just turn the nightlight on and sleep with a gun.
Fair
As
enough.
far as horror movies go, I wouldn't say that's too much on the intense side.
Would
Anyways,
Alien be a horror
can-
film?
I would give it kind of, yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alien and
Alien 1 and
Predator
2, they
movies.
were also pretty good ones.
Yeah, they
Right.
were.
Oh God. Can we include animated horror movies?
Sure, you go real quick.
Dead Space movie.
Okay, yeah, that was gruesome. All right, so we are going to hop away from the horror. Just wanted to bring up a little bit for the Halloween
Spoopy.
time frame. But we're jumping now into graphics cards and how today AMD announced their whole lineup for graphics cards for the 2020 year and how it actually stacks up against NVIDIA, which is already reigning king of everything graphics card. And so I'll go into this real quick. At 11 o'clock today, AMD announced their graphics card lineup. They have the 6900 XT, the 6800 XT, and the 6800. These each the graphic cards in turn all have 16 gigabytes of memory, so that's across the board from their bottom end 6800 to their top end 6900 XT, and they are on par according to AMD. This is granted no third-party benchmarks, no nothing else. They are all on par with NVIDIA, every single one of them. And where it counts, they actually typically beat NVIDIA's graphics cards lineup.
Just in terms of pure power, right?
In terms of performance.
Okay,
So,
but in terms of like hardware though, because one of the
terms of-
reasons I went with NVIDIA when I built mine was I trusted NVIDIA to put out better driver support.
that is a consideration. And I am trying to find the specific numbers that I was looking at. I don't know where I am with this honestly, because I was planning on buying the 3070 if I could buy it tomorrow, assuming I can make it. But I don't know at this point exactly which one I'm getting. And that should tell you just how much they push their limits. Because it's impressive the feats that they accomplish with these cards.
And the price points are competitive or similar.
So the price points, we are talking about the bottom end card is $580. The next up is $650, and then the top card that I'll go into more detail about why this is like a little like iffy, but it matches the 3090, and that is for $1,000. So the performance of the 3090 in comparison to the 6900 XT is equivalent, with them turning on some software performance enhancements, and it makes sense why they did that. But it's impressive that it's a $500 difference between the two cards, and the 6900 XT actually requires less power input to equal that. So the 6900 XT, their card is able to output the same level as the competition, but whereas it's like I think 300 something watts for NVIDIA, or sorry, no, it's definitely more than 300 at this point.
Well, I think at that point the rest of the money is just brand loyalty. Like companies do it all the time. If they know that people are faithful to their company, they'll charge a little bit extra. It's nothing new.
So yeah, the 3090 is 350 watts. The AMD card is 300 watts.
Was that accomplished? Was that accomplished in the same way that they did the CPU, which was just moving things closer together, but not really upping the power necessarily?
I think along the lines of that, they definitely incorporate. They said their pipeline for communication improved. They didn't actually go into detail exactly how they did it, and they don't really have to, because for the same price, or for 500 less than the price, they are equaling what the cost is.
Yeah, and if the benchmarks check out, then that's all they really need to show.
And so here's the really interesting thing about all this. You look at AMD, they just came out with these amazing CPU units that are frankly crushing everything. I've not seen anything yet to claim that they cannot do what they claim. Granted, they aren't out yet, and benchmarks aren't really readily available. But most people are agreeing that AMD has done something pretty crazy with their CPU lineup. Take that and then incorporate what they're doing with their graphics cards, and they actually leverage their position here intentionally, which, I mean, makes sense. They make a graphics card and a CPU. Why don't you leverage that? And so what they've done is they've done two things. They've made SAM, which is a way for them to make their graphics card and their CPU talk, and it can leverage memory through the CPU. So extra cache can be used when playing games. And then they built this thing called Rage Mode, which directly overclocks the card through the CPU. So it optimizes everything.
I'm still terrified of overclocking,
It's
even if it's built in.
It's
Yes.
built in the sense that it does, like, your system will run with it as if it's normal. It's just taking out like, basically think about it as like, if you have a car and you have something that's slightly off with it, the car knows what it is and adjusts it.
I feel like they shouldn't call it overclocking then.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a
well,
frightening
what it does
statement.
is it takes your standard level and it'll actually push the clock speed a little bit. I mean,
They
that's
should just call
technically
it
overclocking.
dynamic adjustment then, or something. But
Doesn't that,
Majority of people
doesn't that
saying aren't
void some
afraid of
form of warranty
overclocking.
or something?
No, AMD is overclocked out of the box. Like, you can, it's allowed from the get-go. That's
Okay.
AMD's big thing that they care about, is you can overclock however much you want. We always build them so that they can be overclocked.
I'm assuming other companies don't really do that.
Well, their only other competitor is Intel, and Intel makes a variant for overclocking, but their standard does not come overclocked capable. So
Because I missed the last few minutes due to issues, which would you recommend? Like, because I do plan on building a new computer like you, Intel or
Mhm.
AMD?
see, I don't know. That's what the point of this, like, going into everything is. I am currently wanting to get the 3070. I
Mhm.
very much I like everything about the card. I like how it's built, and it's a very clean and simple build that meets what I require for my next build.
Okay.
However,
How much is it?
it's 500 for the 3070, and that's as much as I want to spend on a graphics card, really.
Yeah.
AMD comes out and they bring out their bottom end card, and it's 580, and it beats the 3070 according to the specs. Now, they actually couldn't compare it directly because the 3070 isn't out yet, so they compared it to the 2080 Ti, which is basically the equivalent of a 3070.
But according to their specs and everything, their bottom line beats Intel's top of the line right now.
NVIDIA's.
Nvidia, sorry.
Yeah, it is hard. It is a little confusing because they're both a CPU company and a GPU company.
Yeah, once you get all the abbreviations thrown in there, my brain shuts down, and I'm just like, put piece together, make game work.
Yeah, so for $80 more, you're basically guaranteed to be beating what the bottom tier NVIDIA card does.
You mean the bottom tier Nvidia or the? I thought
Bottom.
So the 3070 is the bottom of Nvidia.
Yes, 3070 and the 6800 are bottom tier of NVIDIA and AMD respectively. Then you go 3080 to 6800 XT, and they are roughly the same level, like both equal in every way.
Okay.
Which is impressive. And the 6800 XT is $650, and NVIDIA's 3080 is $700. So
Okay.
they beat NVIDIA in terms of pricing in that category, because you're not really, they don't beat them by a lot, but they beat them by enough that it's a thing to look at and be like, okay, maybe it's not crazy, but it's $50 less.
Mm-hmm.
So then you jump up to their top end, which is 6900 XT versus NVIDIA's 3090. And AMD has shown that they can beat the 3090, and that card is $1,000, which, I mean, so this is just reiterating everything I said earlier. But what that means is you could, if you wanted to, basically buy a brand new CPU from AMD,
Mm-hmm.
buy their top end graphics card, and have both of those. So like I'm thinking the Ryzen 7 and also the 6900 XT, and that's the same price as the 3090.
So all that stuff you just listed is the same price as a single graphics card from NVIDIA?
Yeah.
Well, if you're going for cost efficiency, that's a bit of a no-brainer right there.
Yeah, it's a $500 difference between NVIDIA's graphics card and AMD's graphics card, top of the line, and they are equal in specs, supposedly. I say supposedly because there is a caveat of they did some network pathing, and they did some rage mode overclocking and all these things to make it equal, but it's cooked into the new firmwares. And so they have all these things that are going on about them, and I'm already looking at building my next system with an AMD CPU. Like I'm not buying Intel this gen or last gen, or I'm going AMD either current gen or the gen that's coming out.
So you would recommend AMD over Intel for the CPU?
Oh, 100%. That's not even a question at this point.
Okay.
They've
Because I
conquered Intel.
remember, what was it, like podcast 1 or 2
That
that
was
we
one.
talked about? That
It was
was
one.
1. Yeah. It's been, oh god, it's been so far. It's been so long ago.
It was like 3 weeks, dude.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's a long time, man. But yeah, because I remember you saying that Intel wasn't as good as the AMD ones, and that sort of, I guess I was part of that large majority that only ever sees Intel, not really AMD, so that kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah, so Intel, I would say, has always reigned king when it comes to CPUs, but they changed that all up with AMD when AMD came out with their current gen.
Yeah.
And even AMD's last gen was actually comparable to Intel. It just wasn't to the point where it's like, oh, they're not destroying Intel. This time they destroyed Intel. And so unless Intel answers back with some impressive improvements this coming January, February timeframe, they're not catching up soon.
Okay.
So AMD now rings king in CPU until Intel is able to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And they just came out with competitive GPUs. Now, here's me as a consumer who is currently looking at getting his graphics card. I'm actually looking at 12 hours from right now. It is 8:03, and 12 hours from now, I'm hoping to have a 3070 in my shopping cart.
Nice.
Cool.
I honestly am not sure if I should do it. I honestly am looking at these cards, and I'm like, if I get an AMD CPU and GPU, I could have a fully integrated Team Red system and be having blazing speeds. But the flip side is, as much as I trust AMD to have a really good CPU, because they've proven themselves over and over again now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much I trust their GPU, honestly. Like, NVIDIA has proven king for this for a very long time, and I'm not like an NVIDIA fanboy, but I've had an AMD laptop GPU, and it was very, very poor.
Same here. I was not a
But-
fan of the software that came with it either.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like there's so many things cooked into it that I'm still 3070 fan, and even if it's the other thing is like it's $80 more. That's the cost of enough RAM to get me going on a desktop. So do I want to spend an extra $8 for a card that's competitive, integrates in, but I don't necessarily trust the software? Or do I want to spend $8 less, get some really nice RAM with my computer, and have a card that I already trust the company, I already use their current drivers on my current system, and I like how it is. But whereas one card is $80, it also gives me 8 more gigabytes of memory, and it also gives me better performance.
if you look at it from the perspective of either way, you're going to have more than enough computer horsepower to do whatever you want to. Does that make it easier?
I mean,
Like either way, there's
Okay.
no way you're going to max it out, right?
there's no. Well, actually, I can easily max it out if I start rendering stuff in 3D, but that's not.
I mean,
the
you
point.
can, but that's not. You're not going to on a
Constant
Daily basis.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. In either scenario, I'm coming out of this on top, assuming I can get the card. That's the other thing. I am literally already have everything set up in my Best Buy account so that I just have in tomorrow to get the 3070, and I still don't know if I'm going to be guaranteed in buying it.
I've heard some horror stories about people trying to procure one for themselves. So, yeah,
I told you those horror stories.
not just you, from other podcasts as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What kind of
So-
horror
Other
stories?
podcasts are available.
What happened to these people?
Oh, hold up now. Don't be sending people elsewhere.
I didn't say where, just they exist.
They do exist. He's right. And
What
it's-
horror stories? Are people getting like murdered?
No, it's really hard to get them. Like they
Ah.
sell out within a minute of them going live.
Oh, okay.
It's hard for people to fight machines, but if people use machines such as
I'm-
bots to buy them, then I mean,
I'm
not gonna-
kind of inclined to be hopeful for this 3070 launch because there's supposed to be more supply. So that's one thing NVIDIA's done. They're providing much more supply. They delayed it by half a month to increase their supply for the card. And then they are no longer selling through NVIDIA themselves. They are selling through Best Buy or Micro Center. And so those are the only two places you can buy a Founders Edition card. If Best Buy's been doing the selling game for quite a while, and including their online for quite a while, I'm hoping that they are a lot better about handling bots and scammers than NVIDIA was.
Yeah.
they probably have a
So-
much better website capable of handling an expected customer load than NVIDIA does as well.
Yeah, so that's my thought process in all this is, okay, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, I will hit that button and try for it. And, if I don't get it tomorrow, which I really, really want to get it tomorrow, because I don't know when I'm going to have my next opportunity anytime soon, because people are just going to be buying them within seconds.
Would you be basically pre-ordering it, or would it ship in a couple days?
It would ship in a couple days.
Okay.
It would be nice to have it in hand.
Is there a release date for the AMD cards?
Yeah, so the AMD cards, let me look it up, but oh wait, no, here it is. So the launch, oh wait, that's the launch date. That's not the actual release date. Dang it.
So wait, what's the
Um,
difference between the launch date and the release date?
So release date is when the cards are sold. Launch date is when they're announced.
Okay.
So today was the day they were announced to everyone, the launch date. The AMD cards, the 6800, if I'm remembering correctly, is going to be launching on the 18th of November. The 6900 is going to be launching in December. So if I don't, here's the caveat: is if I waited for the 3070 and bought it later on, well, I'm still lucky either way, because I mean, if there's supply later on and I buy it, it's still until like next year, it's going to be just like lottery winning.
Yeah.
Like you're just trying your luck. The AMD card is going to be the exact same case, but it's going to be in 18 days versus tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or 22, whatever you want to, if you want to technical math.
Yeah.
Basically, any situation where I try to buy a new card, I am really trying to win the lottery in terms of getting lucky on buying it online. And I'm also not going to wait outside stores for weeks on end, because that's ridiculous. But if I don't get it tomorrow, then I can try my luck and really weigh my options. I have a few weeks to think about it. If I do get lucky, I guess I can take the consolation of I don't have to spend the extra $80, and honestly, I don't need the ridiculous power of that graphics card because I don't have a system. I don't plan on building a system that's going to take advantage of 4K gaming or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, do I need it? No. I kind of wish I had unlimited resources and could just go ahead and buy the most ridiculous system and gear ever. Yeah, that'd be really fun.
That's most people though. Most people just wish they had everything.
I mean, I don't want everything because I don't care about future years. I just care about like this year, right now. If I did this, I'd be on top and I'd be content for many, 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 many years to come.
That was the most capitalist thing I've ever heard you say. Just saying.
So-
Capitalism.
I don't care about future years. Anyway, so
I
you won't-
want it now.
So you won't have the rest of the computer to put the card into until weeks from now, right?
Yeah, until Black Friday comes. Though technically, I mean, I don't know about compatibility. I don't think I could put it into my current system, but I could maybe try to put it in my current system. I don't really want to though. I want to just build a computer from the ground up and have everything new from the get-go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not a huge deal in the sense that I won't have it, but I'm still, if I don't get it tomorrow, I don't have a guarantee I'll have it by the time I try to build my PC.
Right. It's just I can imagine having a shiny new graphics card and not being able to do anything besides shelve it.
You know, you say that, but
Right.
like, man,
Hold
it
on.
makes that like looking forward to and satisfaction that much more enjoyable to me because it's like that is the most hard part to get out of my whole build. The graphics card will be the hardest part by far. And if I can have one box ticked off, I'm not going to be complaining about that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So yes, it's not like I need it to be tomorrow, but I also know how hard it is to get these cards, and I really want to try.
So it sounds to me like you should give it a go. If it works out, great. That'll be what you have, and then if it doesn't, you at least have more time to think about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, you've convinced me. And by that, I've convinced me. So that's the whole thoughts on what's going on. I mean, honestly, I didn't expect AMD to come out with a graphics card lineup that could actually compete. Like they've never had a solid offering compared to Nvidia. They kind of just bring it on top forever with Nvidia being like, yes, no one compares to us. We are the best.
Well,
And,
if they go for the technology jugular last year with the Ryzens, then it was a matter of time before they came out on the other side with graphics cards.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know. This was just me thinking. I was like, how can a company be good at both?
I still wish they announced more about their software, though.
Yeah, they have some. If you want to look on their website, Shane, they have some things about the AMD Radeon Software Adrenalin 2020 edition. Like, it's there. They have some stuff. It's like reduced input latency, tear-free gaming, stutter-free, RTX. That's another thing. These cards have RTX, or not specifically RTX, but they have DirectX ray tracing.
If they
So-
didn't, that would be a no-brainer to not get them.
Yeah.
That's kind of a standard at this point.
Yeah.
Well, it's an NVIDIA standard at this point. So they have done from what I've seen on the software side, they've done a lot to reduce latency. They've done a lot to make themselves compete with NVIDIA. Across the board, I think they've done really well. I still don't know how I feel about it. And honestly, tech reviewers are going through this like, oh, maybe you shouldn't buy the 3070 now. And I'm like, you know, the one side is, man, this is a struggle for me. The other side is, man, this is a struggle for me. It's got to be a struggle for anyone else trying to get a 3070 tomorrow.
And are
It's like
these tech reviewers that you mentioned people that have had it and tested it, or are they just looking at the same stuff we're looking at?
They're looking at the same stuff we're looking at. No one has the cards yet. No one's tested them yet because they can't.
So it's all
It's all
essentially
hearsay.
it's speculation.
the 3070 is not hearsay because they have the card in hand. They tested it, and it's
Right, but the
basically
Radeon
a 20. But the
stuff.
Radeon, yes. And so they're like, obviously, check this, check that, and then like, so Linus Tech Tips, he was like, I would actually recommend you to not go ahead and buy it tomorrow. And I was looking at him, I'm like, you literally yesterday they had the testing results. They were allowed to finally release them. Ain't that convenient? NVIDIA's like, oh hey, we're gonna let you release your results today, right before NVIDIA releases their launch products tomorrow. So like, NVIDIA was definitely trying to make it in their favor in the news and like everyone be like, ooh, NVIDIA this, that, but like Then you have AMD who just came in today and were like, yeah, we don't care what you think. You can say what you want about marketing. You can do what you want about lifting embargoes and this. We're going to come out here rocking it. It's interesting how it's all going. I'm going to try for the 3070 tomorrow. I'm convinced myself of that. And along with you guys basically listening / me able to process all this.
Good luck, sir.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
Silicon Lottery, here I come.
There you go.
But either I'll inform you all early in the morning that huzzah, I have had success, or I will inform you all that I will be considering both cards greatly in the weeks to come. So that's what I think the conclusion has been. Other than the fact that AMD has just killed it in their development process, going from Ryzen Gen 1, Gen 2 to Gen 3, and now going from RDNA 1 to RDNA 2. They've had just an incredible performance uptake.
It'll be interesting to see if they can keep it up or if NVIDIA and Intel kind of reevaluate and catch up after this.
The impressive thing about AMD in this current gen is RDNA went from a 50% increase in the first iteration from their previous cards to another 50% increase in efficiency.
Which is
So
quite a bit
this is-
ridiculous.
This is 50% higher efficiency than their last generation, which makes sense with how they finally caught up to NVIDIA. That's the only way they could.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that kind of sums up everything that I wanted to talk about graphics card wise and all the shenanigans that are that. So, Ben, Shane, you have the floor, sirs, for talking about everything Kingdom Hearts, because I'm pretty sure unless Corellia knows anything about it, I don't know anything about it. And Jordan doesn't.
No.
So basically, and now for something completely different.
Yeah,
Couldn't have said it any better.
Big
To replace
180,
the-
boys.
The old movie quote.
I think the only thing I know about Kingdom Hearts
So
is the Keyblades.
pretty much why I'm so concerned with Kingdom Hearts is they have probably the weirdest game distribution of any series I have ever seen ever. Like,
could you first, really quick, for those who are seriously out of it, what is Kingdom Hearts in a quick nutshell?
I'll let Shane explain that. He probably understands it much better than I.
Okay, so Kingdom Hearts is a game made by the same company that makes the Final Fantasy series, and it's basically a crossover between Final Fantasy characters and Disney characters, with a whole new original cast thrown in as well.
I'm pretty sure there's literally a scene where Cloud Strife is fighting Donald Duck.
I don't
And
know
let
about
that.
Donald.
Well, he's still there. He's still involved.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
involved. But anyway, it follows the story of new original characters, but they basically meet a bunch of Disney and a bunch of Final Fantasy characters.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is completely crazy, like if you really think about it,
Yeah.
because Disney is insanely protective of their IP, and rightly so. But
Of course. Yeah. And
so
then just at some point they're like, "Yo, take our IPs, make it even more beautiful," and it
Mush
follows
them
like the general.
together.
It follows basically the general Disney stories. Like, there's Aladdin, there's I think Tarzan at some point, and then they just add like a bunch of weird stuff in between to like make it not exactly just the same stories.
Yeah.
basically the goons of the series are called Heartless, and so whenever anything goes wrong in any of the Disney worlds, it's because there's Heartless, and
They're mucking them out.
each world basically reskins the Heartless to make sense in that world. So
Mhm.
like if you go to, for instance, Halloween Town, they're like ghosts and Jack in the Boxes and just like creepy looking Heartless characters. But if you go to like Little Mermaid, they're fish.
That's pretty much exactly it.
So
And the cool part about the game though is every single world is somehow unique. Like in the Little Mermaid world, they have like swim mechanics, which as most games are, they were kind of terrible. Then like other ones you could swing around on vines and yada yada yada. But that's pretty much how the entirety of the Kingdom Hearts games are. But they had kind of one interesting situation where they had a bunch of so far they have Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts 3. But if you play them in that order, it
Things
makes
are going
no
to be
sense at all.
confusing
Yeah, it makes no sense at all.
because you have no in between. There's giant skips in between each one of those three games.
Yeah, there's
well, there is
giant.
an in between. but they're
They
on
ha-
different consoles.
God.
Yeah, they literally
That's
have
the worst part about it
so
too.
many canon titles on consoles that just don't make any sense. Like the first
Yeah.
one, I think the first one was released on like the PlayStation. Isn't that right?
I have a summary if you want me to go through them all real quick.
Yes.
Yes.
That would be perfect.
Okay,
For
Kingdom
everyone's sake, do that.
Hearts 1, which was actually fairly self-contained. If you just want to if you want to pretend the others don't exist, you could easily just say that game exists in a vacuum. That released, I'm just going to go with North America releases. It released on September 17th, 2002 on the PlayStation 2.
Okay.
And then the next release was Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, not Kingdom Hearts 2. The Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories released 2 years later on December 7th, 2004 on the Game Boy Advance.
See, that's where it's immediately you can see the problems.
Especially
You
because
have to buy every. It's just give me a quick second. Are you saying that you have to buy multiple consoles, like multiple types of,
If
not
you
not
want
even
to,
just multiple consoles? You're buying different companies' hardware and games to play this series.
if you want to actually play through all of it yourself, yes.
and understand the story. Because if you skip straight to Kingdom Hearts 2, which honestly the first game of the series I played was Kingdom Hearts 2, but that's a whole
Same.
different story.
Yep.
If you want to understand what's going on, yes, you have to buy or borrow, I suppose, a whole bunch of different consoles. And that's not
Mike-
even the weirdest consoles jump, honestly.
Mhm.
Before you keep on going, just a question I have in all this, because you said your first one you'll play was Kingdom Hearts 2. What are your thoughts on the game since you hopped into it with just no knowledge besides playing the second one?
Ooh, I can voice my opinion here because that's exactly what I did, and I didn't even know there were other ones.
It had 2 on the box, man.
I was young, and
was
it looked
too, but
fun.
Same
I mean,
here.
I did
at a
assume,
young
I
age
did
you can read
assume,
numbers.
I did assume that there was a first one, but I was like, I'll play this one. I'm sure they'll have like a summary somewhere. They don't.
I feel
They
like we
don't
could
at
have
all.
like an entire podcast
'Cause-
just discussing games we played the second one
Because
of.
and this is obvious. There's gonna be tiny spoilers here and there. Some
Mhm.
major ones may slip out of my face. But starting off with the first one, having no knowledge of the series whatsoever, other than this is the second game, but I'm sure they'll have some sort of explanation for it. The beginning confuses the hell out of you when you start playing, because like if you look at the box and everything, or you like let's say you know just a little bit, and you read like the snippets of the game, the main character's name is Sora. Okay.
You're talking about Kingdom
Mhm.
Hearts 2 here, right?
Yes.
Okay, you
Yes.
said the first one a second ago.
Well, he
Oh,
was
did
saying
I?
like playing the first one as
Like-
in,
like, if-
but,
if
but
you-
the second game.
Yeah, this is the first one I've played.
Gotcha.
Let me start over. You got me confused. So, start with Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
The opening of the game. If you've gone into it with no knowledge whatsoever, you're like, okay, this is cool. If you go into it with a little bit of knowledge of like, hey, I know the name of the main character. His name is Sora. He fights with Donald and Goofy. You start the game, you're confused as crap
Yeah,
because you're a blonde man named Roxas.
yeah. In the beginning of the second one, there's like this. I want to say
Just-
1 hour long introduction. which
It's
believe-
about that long. It takes a minute to get
Yeah,
through.
but believe it or not, like this is a topic for another time. But that's not the longest introduction I've ever played in a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, just without
Yeah,
any
but
knowledge.
I
of
will
the
say
first
this, like,
one.
yeah,
yeah.
you start playing through as this blonde guy named Roxas. You're like, okay, this is weird. You're in this place called Twilight Town.
No Disney characters in sight.
No Disney characters in sight. You are playing, like, you basically there's this bully. You're fighting against him with these rubber weapons, and
Mhm.
then this strange creature starts stealing things, and not just the things, but the words themselves of the things. You and
Yeah.
your group get blamed. You basically go to clear your name. This thing, known simply as a nobody,
I'm not
shows
sure
up.
where that name comes into the story.
The
I think
nobodies.
they just call it a monster up for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's called a nobody. It's essentially to put it simply, heartlesses are like the soul. Nobodies are the corpse left behind.
Exactly. So, and then throughout the
And-
rest of the after this introduction, then you like meet up with Sora and then a bunch of like weird stuff. But you pretty much figure out that he's been sleeping for a year. So without that key
Yeah.
that Chain of Memories game, you would have absolutely no idea what the
Yeah,
heck is
yeah. Because
happening.
like you play through as Roxas, stuff starts going down. Eventually, like you find Sora sleeping, and you're told, "Hey, you gotta wake this guy up. But if you do, say bye bye." And you're just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
So he has his final goodbye with his friends and stuff. He wakes up Sora. Sora wakes up. His clothes are too tiny. Donald and
yeah.
Goofy also wake up and are like, "What happened?" No
So
one knows what's going on.
exactly, like no one has any idea. But that's only like from 1 to 2. Then you go from 2 to 3, and it gets even weirder because there's
Wait,
like a
wait.
thousand.
You skipped something.
I have.
Yes.
A little
Yes.
bit, yeah. So, and that's taking place from a perspective of someone who didn't play the first one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, if you've played the first one, you know where Sora ends, which is just back on his island with his friends.
Yep.
Not sleeping in a pod.
Yep.
Not in this random basement of this random town.
Yeah.
In like a sleeping capsule.
Yep.
So if you have played that and then you go skip straight to 2, you're like, who is Roxas? Why is Sora in a basement? Where's
What is
Donald and
going
Goofy?
on?
Why are they also sleeping in a basement?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then as you play through the game, you keep seeing this one dude, and
They never really explain it either because it's
they
all of
they
that stuff is in
they do a little bit. It's subtle context clues here and there, and some lore
Mhm.
bits here. They do explain it. It is there. As a child, you will flippity floppity miss it.
So
Yeah.
two
Because I have
things are
played through that game
popping into
4
my
times.
mind right now. First off, is there only one game between 1 and 2?
yes.
Yes.
And that's on the Game Boy Advance.
Yes.
And
And
it
then everything
starts
else
on the
is after
PS2.
Mhm.
And then 2, what is that on?
PS2.
2 is on the PS2.
So
I still have it if you want to play it.
you go from 1 to 2, same console, but hey, you have this side note thing that's basically all the information you need between them that's on the Game Boy Advance.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Now, I don't think we should do this between 2 and 3, but Shane, just list how many games are between 2 and 3 cuz we need to hear this one.
Yeah, just
Okay.
go through the continue on as if you were saying the rest of the games. Like the releases.
After 2, you mean?
After
Yeah.
2.
Yes.
Okay, so after 2 there was Kingdom Hearts Coded. This wasn't even released on a game console. This was released on mobile phones in Japan only.
But it's still a canon game with lore and stuff.
In fairness, there's only like one part at the very end that has any sort of relevance, but still that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes.
So after that there was Kingdom Hearts oh god, these names. Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2, I think is how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Days. That was released on the Nintendo DS in September 29th, 2009. And that tells the story of Roxas before Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
So you finally get to learn about this strange blonde boy.
Yep. So even
who are these games made for?
crazy people.
I don't know. That's the weirdest part.
The
Because I'm
criminally
thinking of this as like,
insane.
I don't know who I'm supposed like. Is this
You
for
think it'd be
kids? Because
Gar-
it's Disney. But like, I
God,
don't think
no.
I can track this because as a
Yeah.
kid, there's no way I understand what that title even means.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I think their target audience was just for people who were Disney movie fans.
I suppose. Yeah, pretty much.
And
And
they
then they
wanted to
just
get
made it
them-
really complicated.
They
Yeah.
wanted to get them into the
Okay.
gaming world.
So continue listing.
Yeah, next one.
Right. After that Roxas prequel story, which was on the DS, there was Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which was released on the PSP, which is the PlayStation Portable.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that was a year after the DS game in 2010. After that was Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance on the Nintendo 3DS. That was 2 years later. And then after that, we get into re-releases. So that's not quite the same, but Kingdom Hearts 1.5 Remix and Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 Remix were on the PlayStation 3, which was basically just upgraded versions of 1 and 2.
Mhm.
There was a web browser that was released, not a web browser, but a web browser game released 2016. I believe this was in Japan only as well. but that was like a super prequel to everything.
So before even 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh, by the way, Birth by Sleep doesn't have Sora or Donald or Goofy. It's a prequel to everything else as well.
They got a lot of prequels in this one.
Damn.
Yeah, honestly, the release date and the chronological date are very goofy.
Now, I was very fortunate because I was living with Shane at the time, and pretty much I borrowed the Kingdom Hearts like collective series. I don't exactly remember what it was called, but
Is
it
that the one
had
where they're movies, basically?
Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories 2, like the updated version, the 1.5 and 2.5, and then it
Yeah.
had like a bunch of movies as well. I gotta say though, some of those games, I think the one that I just unanimously hate the most is Chain of Memories because it has like a bunch of really cool characters and stories and they butchered it with the mechanics. It was made for the Game Boy, but it did not translate well.
Ah.
So if we're gonna talk about the mechanics, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are like action platformer games where you run
Mhm.
around and you have your Keyblade, which is like a sword, and
Yeah.
you swing it around, and it's
You
pretty
got your-
dynamic, pretty
You
fun.
got you got your abilities. You can merge together with Donald and Goofy to make yourself more powerful at the cost of not having a companion. There's a whole bunch of stuff I've sunk.
It's built off the
Some
Final
would
Fantasy
say too
X
much
platform.
time.
It's made to appeal to Final Fantasy fans, yeah.
Yeah.
So Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories released on the Game Boy Advance. Obviously, they couldn't really do that kind of gameplay on a Game Boy Advance, so they made it like a turn-based card battle, basically. And then when they re-released it on the upgraded version, they made it have the same graphics as the 3D Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but they kept the gameplay of a card-based system, and it's just hard to wrap my mind around. I know other people love it, and that's great for them, honestly, but I did not gel with it at all. I hate it so much.
Because
Yeah,
the
I'm not a-
reason I didn't like it so much, other than like the really cool characters that they had in Chain of Memories, was because in Kingdom Hearts 1, I was so used to just spamming the X button, which is the attack button.
Yep.
And like I got really good at that, you know, the rolling and the blocking and the attacking. If you do that in Chain of Memories, you will waste so many cards, which is like the most important resource.
So it basically turns into a somewhat of a strategy game.
Kind of.
Unfortunately,
Ugh.
It's
So
just weird.
not to. I mean, we got a lot of stuff I think to cover still. So,
Mhm.
we covered the first 3 and how they re-released it, and now we have covered how many after. I lost track after 2.
Oh, we're still not done.
I know. I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah.
Please,
No, I mean with
please
how many there
reiterate
are. in between.
what we've said so far after 2.
I'll just start from the beginning real quickly to summarize them
Okay.
all. So Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Coded, Kingdom Hearts Mobile on the phone, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, 1.5 Remix, which is a re-release of 1, Kingdom Hearts Cross or Key, I'm not really sure what that is. It's the web browser game.
Mhm.
Kingdom Hearts 2.5 Remix, release of 2. And then here's where it gets kind of really weird. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, which is basically a little tiny in-between game between Dream Drop Distance and 3, Kingdom Hearts 3, which came out at most recently.
Mhm.
Kingdom Hearts 3 came out most recently.
So Kingdom Hearts 1 came out in 2002,
Yes,
and Kingdom Hearts 3 came out when?
2019.
It's around 17 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think it's giving Crash Bandicoot a run for its money for longest time between game releases.
You're probably not wrong.
And if we count how many that actually is, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kingdom Hearts 3 is actually Kingdom Hearts 11.
Okay.
Yes,
How many
math works that way.
consoles is that?
Okay, so it released on the
Let's just count the PC as one.
piece. Oh, you mean like the web browser?
Yeah.
Okay, so PlayStation 2, Game Boy Advance, mobile phones, DS, PlayStation Portable, 3DS, PlayStation 3. Actually, those were just re-releases, so that doesn't count.
We'll still
PlayStation
give it
4.
a 3. PlayStation 4.
So that's 6 consoles.
If you
I
include the
counted 8.
PlayStation 3, it's 8, which technically still counts even if it's a re-release because it's still a game on that console. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Goodness gracious.
It's just so weird. It baffles me every
Yeah,
time I
it's-
return to this subject.
and
Okay.
real quick before, because I know we're getting close to time, I just have to interject about my favorite part about the Kingdom Hearts franchise: gummy ships.
That's your
Oh,
favorite
yeah.
part?
That's
I
your wait.
spent more time on that making those and playing around with those than I did on the actual game.
I forgot that was there because it was so nothing.
I
Yeah, I
enjoyed the
hate to
gummy
admit it.
ships so much, and if
Yep.
they ever made a game of just gummy ships, I would devote so much time to it.
Gummy
I-
ships to me were like interactive loading screens between the good parts.
I mean, honestly, all I really did was try and make cool, awesome ships and everything. Most of them didn't work. I just tried to make the coolest thing possible.
Which game is this from?
2.
2.
And one. It's in one as
And
well.
1 and 2. It's like
So,
this.
so,
like,
so to
Does
clarify,
3 have the
Shane,
gummy ships as
he
well?
played this back in the day when 2 came out, and
Basically, yeah.
just would have been Kid Jordan. So that makes sense. If this is a game that you have no point of reference in, why would you not enjoy the aspect of whatever gummy ships are? I'm
The
assuming.
gummy ships are awesome.
Yeah. So like, from that principle, I can understand why. If like so I hop into that game, I have no clue what's going on. I mean, I still have no clue what's going on, really.
Yeah, but
I don't understand
they
the story or
are
anything.
they are, as Shane stated, interactive loading screens between the different worlds. Like you have to like make your gummy ship go through like a small little world thing with the gummy ship. It's basically like a side-scrolling bullet hell,
The way
and then you get the next world.
The way the worlds are presented is like each Disney franchise is like its own sort
Little
of
bubble.
planet bubble thing
Yeah.
in space, and your gummy ship is what brings you from world to world, basically.
Best part is the people who help you with the gummy ship are Chip and Dale.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
All right, let me just give you what I think is a general characteristic of what I'm hearing about Kingdom Hearts, because like I'm trying to like rationalize how this game series is so loved. Not because I don't think it isn't loved. Like I think it's probably a good series, but it's also ridiculous with the storyline.
If you're willing to
Um,
put up with all the weirdness, it's a lot of fun.
yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. Like this is why I'm going to compare it the way I am. Kingdom Hearts is the Disney gateway drug to Final Fantasy video gaming, in the sense that you have no clue what's going on. You are following this interesting storyline, and you're tantalized. Like as a person who just enjoys Disney, you would be like, "Oh, Disney characters!" But then they throw in Final Fantasy characters, and you're like, "What are these?" Ooh, let's play video games. Let's play Final Fantasy, and they make this all convoluted to the point that you're basically taking ecstasy while trying to figure out how video games work.
I mean,
I don't know about comparing it to drug use, but
probably not.
but
I
it's
feel like that's what I need to be on in order to understand how the games connect together.
I kind of
No,
want to know
you
if
more so just need to be on like
Or at the very minimum, like Adderall, so I actually concentrate on
that.
what the connection point is.
that.
I
or
just
just
wanna
watch a
know-
summary YouTube video that connects them.
yeah, I
That
just
is
wanna know
actually the
if-
easiest way to do it. Is like play the 3 main ones, 1, 2, and 3, and then in between just watch videos on the games that are in between, because some of them now are hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not super true because they re-released collections with, I think even there's like one particular game that's Kingdom Hearts: The Story So Far, which is literally every single game. Some of them were converted into like cutscene movies, but
Yeah,
every single game on one disc. I assume it's
yeah,
one
but
disc.
yeah, if you can get it that way, that's super easy. But if you don't have that, or for some reason can't get that, there are bunches of compilation videos on the internet about the story.
So you're telling? So wait, who makes Kingdom Hearts? What studio?
Square Enix.
Yeah,
Square
Squeenix.
Enix. So they at least acknowledge that the games and how they're developed and the releases
Are
and everything
convoluted? Yes.
are convoluted and super hard to follow. So they went and took the time to build this is the story.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
big old collection of it all. Yes.
You
And for
gotta
the ones that
respect-
are more annoying to play, they just convert it into cutscene movies.
Yeah, because they're like, hey, we know y'all don't want to really play through these, but you want the story, so here's the story. Just
Well,
sit
at
down
least
with a bowl
they
of
did
popcorn and
that.
watch it. Yeah.
I wish they did that for Chain of Memories, but nope, that's a full game in there.
We know you guys
Yeah,
love this one. No, we
Shane
don't.
and I watched the movie for Chain of Memories, and pretty much it can best be described as everyone's confused the movie. Because, like,
We
it's
watched
pretty
it
much
as all the
every s-
cutscenes stitched together on YouTube.
yeah, all the cutscenes stitched together. It's pretty much the main characters, Sora, Donald, and Goofy, running through the same room, and each time they're like forgetting more and more. It's really freaking weird because, like, in between the levels, you have to return to this room to, like, you go like to the next floor up, but it's like the same looking room, and it just keeps happening. So if you don't know, like,
My
oh, where they're
God.
going, it looks like they're leaving the room and then coming right back to the same room, like some cheesy movie where they're like running through doors, like Scooby Dooing all over the place.
Cue Benny Hill music.
And
Exactly.
and the reason they're forgetting their memories is inside of that game. But the reason that they're inside of the pod at the start of 2 was because they're trying to get back the memories. But you have no idea unless you've played this random GBA game
Yeah.
as a
You,
PS2 gamer.
I'm
Also-
willing to. I'll do some editing to make this happen if I need to. But like, explain Kingdom Hearts as much as you can in a simplistic of terms of what's going on in story wise.
There is no simple way.
Well, I feel like if we do that, that's kind of spoiling for any potential viewers, isn't it?
Yeah, and honestly, we're gonna need another podcast if you want an explanation as to what's going on.
A really long story, that one.
Yeah, I'm not joking. That would take a whole nother podcast.
I could give it a
Okay.
go, but it wouldn't be very detailed.
Yeah.
I don't need
and
a detail. I just need a general like get me to the point where I want this game because at this point I'm just thinking it's a lot of confusion for me.
Okay,
it's-
so the main player character is Sora, who is a kid that he lived on like an island with his friends, and he wanted to explore. And then a door to darkness opened, and his world got sucked into it. But he ended up on a place that allowed him to meet up with Donald and Goofy, who were fighting the darkness at
Mhm.
the behest of King Mickey. So they set off on an adventure across the Disney worlds to lock away the darkness. And the darkness turns people into heartless. The people that are left over are called nobodies. Some of those nobodies still have like intelligence, and they become this whole organization that becomes the main bad guys that overarch the whole series.
Mhm.
Basically, the nobodies want to have their own hearts back, so they try to steal them basically from the Disney places, and you go across locking the Disney places away in their own safe bubble away from the darkness.
Okay. And so you're not necessarily fighting the darkness, but you're fighting the darkness's aftermath?
The darkness is a force of nature, basically.
It's like the sun. You can get rid of it if you get rid of everything.
So what you're fighting is the nobodies that are trying to steal back their hearts.
Gotcha.
Like they
Which I'm
can't
assuming
get
these
their
are like
hearts-
famous Disney villains or something.
Nope.
The nobodies are original to Kingdom Hearts.
They are original. All the big nobodies.
Although they do work with
big bad baddies
Uh,
like
Maleficent.
Maleficent and
Maleficent's the big one.
Pete.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pete's a part of it.
Pete's
yeah.
not really a leader. He's just kind of Maleficent's minion that keeps showing up.
A lackey.
Yeah. Ooh, let's not forget the best hidden side boss character ever that requires mashing of the triangle button. Sephiroth.
Yes.
He's
So
he's not the story. He's just a
That's why I said side boss.
right.
yeah,
But
I could go on an entire rant about just bosses in general, but this game has like a bunch of like
Oh.
hidden side bosses if you know where you're going, and yes,
It's amazing.
Sephiroth is one of them. I
You
even
do get the strongest weapon in the game though when you beat him.
I counted it when I first challenged him.
you don't
like-
actually.
So in
You
Kingdom
don't?
Hearts 2.5,
I thought you do in 2.
when I first challenged Sephiroth, I lasted 2 seconds. When I re-challenged him knowing what I knew, I lasted 7 seconds.
He
So-
is balls to the wall, Dark Souls on crack levels of hard.
Yeah, it's
So-
honestly hilarious.
I would say he's the first Dark Souls boss to ever exist.
This sounds like So this is from the outsider looking in, and I know the lore of Kingdom Hearts in the sense I've watched some YouTube like quick update. Here's how Kingdom Hearts is, and like you have the whole storyline and everything. And honestly, you just reminded me that I had seen some of these things, so I understand some of what you're talking about. But man, this game does not sound like you need to be a real fan to want to play these games. It sounds like, at least from my side, like this is so
Or
much
just
to
have a lot
process.
of time to sink into understanding what is going on. Because that's the other thing. These are not small games.
I think if you
Okay.
do enjoy the genre of just general, RPG physics and mechanics, it's honestly a great game. The story is pretty well explained throughout it, as long as you just
Yeah.
watch the movies in between.
The weird
Yeah.
thing is, though, they changed the mechanics between games. Like
That
1 and
is
2
true.
were very similar, but Birth by Sleep completely different. Chain of Memories completely different.
How does 3
How
compare
about
to the
3?
other two?
Yeah.
I haven't played or seen 3, so I can't really speak to that one.
I thought you
Neither.
had.
Nope.
Oh.
I
So
haven't
what
played.
haven't?
I haven't finished Dream Drop Distance because I don't like it, and I
Ah.
just haven't got around to watching the cutscene movie, so I understand what's going on.
I see.
Yeah.
Shane, watch cutscene movies with me on YouTube and catch me up because I really don't want to play these games, but I want to understand them.
They're very long. It's like multiple hours of just cutscenes
Yeah.
I'm okay with this.
because they're long games.
How are we doing
We-
on time, by the way?
We are probably over, but I'm gonna edit out a bunch of the AMD stuff
Okay.
because there's a repeat in there. Shane, do you want closing remarks / any information you want to add about Kingdom Hearts?
No, I feel like we covered how insane the release timeline was for that game and how it's on
Yep.
7, 8 different consoles, which is just dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a
But
fun series. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
they at least released the game, like a bunch of the games into one game that you can play on the console.
Yeah, they did compile every game to be, if not playable, at least watchable on PS4. So
So
Yeah.
I at least appreciate the fact that they've done that. Like, okay, you can be a ridiculous video game company if you have a great game and you are playing it over the years and you're just going for people, as many hands to play it as possible. I can understand why they did what they did, but then they at least had the decency to go in and retroactively make it simpler.
I kind of just want to know if they accepted royalties. Like Nintendo's coming along is like, "Yo, we want a Kingdom Hearts game," and they're like, "We'll make a canon one if we get some of the profits."
yeah, what really gets me is that they had plot-specific points exclusive to competing companies' consoles, not just handhelds, because they had Sony handheld the PSP had a exclusive game, as well as the DS and the 3DS having exclusive games on just it's
Yeah.
not even in the same company.
There
Which
was
is
money
it's
exchanging
Nintendo
hands,
and
I'm
it's
sure.
Sony, so I guess they just like. Is Kingdom Hearts bigger in Japan?
I don't think so, because Disney isn't really a huge deal in Japan as far as I know.
They have Disney World over there.
Well, sure, but
It's I don't know. It's so much about how what you guys have said has done nothing but just like make me amazed that people love this series. Like it's
I
gonna
think-
have a really good storyline to make people want it so much.
It has a great storyline and it has great gameplay, so that alone is probably why everyone loves it.
Yeah.
So
I think a
it's
big part of-
tolerated because it checks off the 2 points of a good game.
Yes.
I think a big part of it is that it covers so many different Disney franchises, and there's not a ton of good Disney games. So if you want to experience those worlds in video game form, Kingdom Hearts is the #1 way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm internally laughing right now because you said there's not a ton of good Disney games. Name a good Disney game, Shane. Please name a good Disney game that's not Kingdom Hearts right now.
There was a Stitch game in the PS2 that I used to play when I was a kid where you were just Stitch and you were collecting DNA.
Would you say it was good?
I enjoyed it.
But would you say it was good?
Yeah, because enjoying it as a kid does not equal a good game.
I did play it recently whenever Shane and I lived together, and I had a good time. Like I thought the
But would you
platforming-
say it was good?
Would
See,
you
that's the
s-
weird part because like, are we talking good back then or
take
good
your
now?
Ben, take your opinions out of the game.
Grab-
Delete your nostalgia.
Okay.
Is the game good?
Mechanically, story-wise, all that stuff. Would you consider it a good game? Was it made well?
Is there any
You know-
reason to play it if you're not a Stitch aficionado?
You know, I'm not even gonna lie. The platforming was pretty good. The scenery was pretty good, and I did have a lot of fun with the bosses. If you're a kid and
Story?
you're looking for just a PS2 game to play, I would recommend it.
All right.
That's impressive. Okay, I'll give him that. I was not expecting anything out of that statement.
I mean, I recently, I actually went out and on Steam and I got the Disney Afternoon Collection.
What's
That's
that?
got DuckTales, right? Oh yeah,
It's got
DuckTales. DuckTales. is a good one.
DuckTales. Why did I forget
DuckTales.
DuckTales?
Dude,
Ooh, ooh, ooh,
DuckTales
ooh, I know,
is
I know,
both,
I know.
it hits as a show, and
Ooh.
I from what I've seen, it hits as a game.
I have a good one.
I enjoy all 4 of the games. Actually, well, all 5 of the games that are on it.
Okay,
What were the
I,
other 4 besides DuckTales?
You have DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, and Chippendale Rescue Rangers 1 and 2.
Those are all NES games, right?
Yes.
Maybe
Dang.
Sega Genesis, but yeah. So
Okay,
old games.
So beyond
I
old
have a
games,
good-
there's not
I-
a good Disney game.
no, yes there is. Star Wars Squadrons is a good Disney game.
Okay,
That
okay,
is-
we're not allowed. We're talking
Hey,
Disney original IP.
hey, it's owned
They
by
acquired
Disney. It
Star
counts.
Wars.
It's owned by Disney. It was made after the acquisition, therefore it is a Disney game.
I really
Okay.
hate to admit it,
Disney
but he's got a
original.
point.
Disney original IPs.
Okay.
Yes, that's
one's
what
they
we're going
acquired.
to state.
That's a
Darn.
ballsy move, but I gotta respect it.
I had to do it.
Wait,
you're
it's
fair
illegal.
enough. Okay, I think that's all the time we have. But it was good to hear all these things. It was good for me to actually be able to weigh options and get feedback from people. And as much as my mind is reeling from the information I've just taken in about Kingdom Hearts, I did have fun listening and learning about it.
Absolutely.
They're mostly great games.
Curly,
Two
do you
is
have anything to
probably-
add? Because you haven't really gotten a lot of talking time this whole time.
I quite frankly, I'm not too knowledgeable about any of the topics tonight, so I just chipped in where I could. So
Fair
get that.
enough.
Disney
Okay.
Afternoon Collection was a good shout.
there you
so.
go.
That is, yeah, if he did add that, yeah. Fair
Don't
enough.
worry, Corellia. We'll have a Warhammer section in one of these eventually.
And I'm going to go on the record real quick here and say my first interaction with like having my own video games was Disney. I had the Toy Story CD game for, yeah, like you put it in the computer and you press play.
Oh
And
god.
you,
So you had a CD-ROM, is that what that is?
yeah,
You had a
CD-ROM
CD-ROM.
that I put in my family's ancient family computer.
God,
I was
giving me
in,
memories.
I was in like, I don't know,
God, we could have a
between first grade or so.
Oh,
that
God.
Played
goes
that.
into that goes into that topic. One of our other topics for another time.
So
doesn't it? The old
I'm gonna
games,
say I played original way back in the day Disney games and I loved them.
the
but-
point-click adventures.
There was a
Man,
point-
they are not real video games in the sense of what we have now. So that's why I
Nope.
said name one because I couldn't think of one.
I'm not even gonna lie. You gave me like horror flashbacks to like a point and click Mickey Mouse game that I never beat, and it's been haunting me ever since.
Oh, there was one on the GameCube called Mickey's Magical Mirror that has the most surreal, like it's not a horror game, but
Oh my gosh!
creeps me out so bad.
There's a
Oh,
good
no.
Mickey game. There was the shadow like paintbrush thing.
Oh, Epic Mickey.
Epic Mickey. I wanted to play that game so bad as like a middle schooler or whatever. Oh,
I never
Okay.
owned it, but I played it a little.
We're-
It was pretty good.
and we're gonna end this podcast on
Yep.
that note because otherwise we'll be here for forever more just thinking of all the
See.
games that are popping into our minds.
Understandable.
Yep.
That is a good
So,
point.
with that, thank you all for joining, and thank you listeners for hopping in for another episode. This is episode 4 of the GPU podcast, and we hope you had a great time.
Bye.
Hasta la see ya.
Peace.